In the mind teachings, Logic, it talks about Kejik. Kejik. Kejik means instantaneous. Just like that. That's kind of like the fastest we can describe Kejik. It's faster than a second. And our time is made up of many of these seconds. Okay, for convenience sake, we use the word seconds. Kejik is many very fast seconds that are brought together. Your mind, your subtle mind, and your gross mind. You have two types of mind. You have a subtle and gross. Gross, mind. The gross mind, listen very carefully. The gross mind is associated with your five aggregates. Power, hearing, touch, taste, feeling, mind. The five aggregates. The gross mind depends on the five aggregates to exist, to function, to perceive, to get information, to exist. It depends on the five aggregates, which all of us have unless we're blind or deaf or one of those. And what happens is this gross mind arises from a subtle mind. The subtle mind and the gross mind are one. The gross mind is a manifestation of the subtle mind. At death, the gross mind dissolves back into the subtle mind, and the subtle mind leaves our body. Gross and subtle mind are one. It's just classifications on their operation, how they operate. Don't think there's two. So the gross mind is dependent on the body, suk or lu, on the body in order to exist. Therefore, the gross consciousness of sight, the gross consciousness of sound, taste, touch, feeling, reja, all of that is dependent on our body. So if the body is taken away, the gross mind cannot exist. We have three different types of realms within the samsara existence according to Buddha. Three different types of realms. Form, formless, and desire. We abide within the desire realm. Within the desire realm, planet Earth is one small speck of existence within that. So we don't need to have an over-bloated kind of arrogance. We are the only ones as anybody out there. There's definitely plenty of people out there. There are UFOs, everything. Buddha didn't say, there's little green men coming out of spaceships. But what he did say is that we're only one form of existence within a vast multitude of existences within samsara. So planet Earth is just one teeny little speck. So planet Earth is a speck, imagine us. I don't know, there's no word smaller than that. So within that tiny speck, we exist within the desire realm. The gross mind arises from the subtle mind. When we die, there are different stages of our death, which I'll teach another day. I'd like to actually teach that more in detail, that Buddha described. It's quite scientific. It's quite interesting, actually. Interesting in the sense that it's, wow, how they figured this out 2,500 years ago, Buddha didn't even have a stethoscope. In any case, that dissolves into your subtle mind. Proof, a very simplistic proof of the existence of the subtle mind is this. Is when you're sleeping, you dream. When you dream, you see, you hear, you taste, you touch, and with your mind you feel fear. But none of that exists. What are you feeling with? What are you touching with? What are you tasting with? What are you hearing with? What are you looking with? Your eyes are closed. Your ears are shut down. For me, I wear earplugs. Everything's shut down. The room is closed. The windows are closed. Well, I always close my windows, lock my doors, because I have fears of intruders. I won't tell you what type. But everything's closed. Everything's closed. So when it's closed, you still, in your dream, sometimes it's more realistic than life. What are you seeing with? What are you hearing with? What are you perceiving with? That being, or that perceiver, is your subtle mind. That being, or that perceiver, gives you clear, positive proof that something exists that does not need your body. To see, to hear, to taste, to touch, to feel. That is your mind. Very simple. That light, that mind you can experience. That mind you can experience. It is said, when you sneeze, suddenly your heart stops. When you have sexual peak or orgasm, a very split second, there will be a clear white light or clear light. That is not something on the outside, that is your mind. And at time of death, those 3 times, that subtle mind will appear to you. When you die, that subtle mind will not be something you see on the outside. It is something that you are within. You will see a clear, white, clean, vacuous light. The light is like a womb. The light is very loving and nourishing and very touching. The light is very welcoming. And the light gives you a sense of peace and a sense of happiness and a sense of belonging. And people always in history believe that light to be God or Buddha or angels or deities. It is not. That clear light is your own mind. Those who meditate during their meditational experiences, there are specific sadhanas. Sadhanas are different types of yogas for the mind that you can actualize that clear light before you die, which means you'll recognize it, you'll be able to see the signs, and when you recognize you're able to see the signs, you can control your death, or you can have a controlled death. And when you have a controlled death, you don't worry about your wealth, you don't worry about your children, you don't worry about your family, you don't worry about anybody. You think about everyone and how to benefit them. And when you enter that clear light of death, you're able to eject from your body or leave your body at will when you like. For what? To show off in front of everybody? What's the point? What's the point of doing a Houdini thing? Once you're dead, you're dead. No one can even give you money you're going to pay for. That's not the point. The point is not to have an uncontrolled rebirth. Not to have an uncontrolled next life. Not to have something uncontrolled that you cannot control. To enter death in darkness and in fear. So those sadhanas are very precious. Kala Chakra Sadhana, Yamataka Sadhana, Chakra Samvada Sadhana, Vajragini Sadhana, Guhya Samaja. Those great sadhanas, there are many more, are very implicit texts and meditational manuals that teach you how to prepare yourself for death by living your life correctly. It isn't a bunch of rules. It isn't a bunch of rules. Oh, you're vegetarian on this date. Oh, you have to chant on this time. You have to get up at this time. You have to meditate this much. You have to recite this. You have to pray to this Buddha. No, it's not that. It's a guided meditational manual for you to go inside yourself. That only comes after a few years of practice with a meditation teacher. And the teacher checks you out, unmotivated by money, fame, popularity, or gain. Out of great compassion, the teacher passes you one of these great sadhanas through initiation. And when you convert the initiation and you hold the rites and you hold the vows and you do the proper offerings that support the actual practice, you're able to gain meditation experience into controlling your death, into controlling where you go and what happens to you. And in the process of that, you're able to overcome your attachment for money, lust, desire, anger, winning, pride, ego. You're able to let go. Why do you need to let go? Because it doesn't benefit you at the time of death. It becomes a burden. It holds you back. It holds you back very much. So what happens is, those come after years, depending on your teacher, of examining you, whether you're ready or not. Some people just stumble into initiation, they get it, doesn't mean they're ready. Doesn't mean they're ready or not. After years of following one teacher, with confidence and faith, the teacher, not, everybody runs around saying, I'm going to check my teacher out. Correct, you should. But the teacher also checks you out. Whether you're a proper vehicle to pass those type of teachings too. So prior to that, the teacher prepares you. The teacher compassionately and kindly, through many skillful ways, attempts or actually prepares you. One who cooperates with the teacher is likened to a sick person who cooperates with their doctor for treatment and healing. One who doesn't cooperate with their teacher for their inner journey, we're talking about inner journey here, we're not talking about anything else. One who does not cooperate is likened to a sick person who does not listen to the doctor's advice. So if your disease becomes worse, or becomes fatal, or you die from it, the doctor is not to be blamed, neither is the nurse. It is yourself. Similarly, if you've been listening to Dharma for many years, inwardly you have not transformed, you have not changed, it cannot be the fault of your teacher. Why? If your teacher is at fault, surely the Buddha cannot be at fault. Surely the Dharma books cannot be at fault. So your lack of transformation cannot be blamed on an outer cause. It has to go within oneself by logic. By logic. So what happens is this. When your gross aggregates dissolve into your subtle aggregates, there's a process. your mind will leave your body. It will take rebirth. Now what happens is this. Your subtle mind, we say in Tibetan, it operates on a very quick basis, very fast, secondary, split second. These split seconds are many. They're not one, and they're continuous. So, logically, it is 6:20 approximately right now. At 6:20, if I just walk into the room, I saw all of you, I don't need proof that you existed at 6:19. I don't need proof that you existed at 6:18, or 6:15, or 6 o'clock, or 5 o'clock, or yesterday. Because you're here, I can very inferential logic, which means indirect logic, say you were here, you're alive. Very simple. So like that, if you were here today, you must have been here yesterday. Similarly, let's say if you're 30 years old, you've been logically here for 30 years. And then 9 months inside your mother's womb. Now, when you were inside your mother's womb, existence didn't start there at all. Your physical body came from your parents, the blood and the sperm of your parents, and that grew from other substances being fed into it, and from that it grows. But your mind didn't come from that. Why? If your mind came from that, there's a lot of proof that negates that kind of thinking. Example, physically you may resemble your parents, and the way you eat, the way you talk, the way you do certain things may resemble your parents, but that doesn't mean your mind came from them. That simply means being close to an environmental cause or environmental kind of habituation. Which means if you look at something or look at someone all the time, you're impressionable, you start to do things like them, but it doesn't mean you think like them. Example, there are very intelligent parents that come out with kids that are not intelligent. You have very not intelligent parents with kids that come out super intelligent. Then you have parents who are saints, religious, and very kind and very wonderful, and their kids come out to be highway robbers, or very difficult druggies, or addicts, or people that harm other people. Now, if their mind came from their parents, they have to be exactly like their parents. Or if their parents is wonderful, they have to be wonderful. If they're not wonderful, it is logically to say their parents are not wonderful. Why? If you came from your parents, that's negated out. Completely negated out. So therefore, there are some parents that are very, very spiritual. And there are some kids that couldn't be bothered. And there are some kids who are very spiritual, there are parents that couldn't be bothered. So like that, it logically negates that your mind comes from your parents. So therefore, let's say you were conceived at like 12 a.m. Okay, your father and mother got together, they did their little thing, and you were conceived at 12 a.m. At 12 a.m., the sperm and the blood mixed. Your two cells became two. It's going to start multiplying to create you. You're a 2-cell being or 3-cell being, whatever. At that second, your physical body began to exist. I put that in inverted commas. I'll talk about that later. It began to exist. But your mind also at that time entered into that conception. When your mind had entered into that conception, let's say you were conceived at 12 a.m., where were you at 11:59 p.m.? Where were you at 11:58 p.m.? If you were conceived at 12 a.m. on Wednesday, where were you on Tuesday? Where were you on Monday? Where were you on Sunday? So therefore, it is logical to assume that our mind is on a secondary basis and is very quick. Because if we exist this moment, if we can think, perceive, touch, feel, like, and dislike at this moment, we definitely could have perceived, like, dislike, and all that the previous moment, and so on and so on. Like that, at the moment of conception, we know where your body came from, but where did your mind come from? It couldn't have come from nowhere. Illogical. It couldn't have come from your parents. We just have negated that out with logic again. That's how the Buddha taught us. That's how the Buddha spoke. That's how we are taught in the monasteries. We don't just sit there and chant, yodel in the Himalayan mountains. No, there's a lot of philosophical thought and meditation, contemplation, and debate to think about the subjects. People think Tibetan lamas fly in the sky, they yodel in the mountains, and they can melt on snow. Some of them can, but I'm not interested in melting snow. If I want to get a hairdryer and melt snow, I don't need to do that with my body. I don't want to sit in the mountains naked and melt snow. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? Hair dryers can melt snow, so I don't need to be a hairdryer, do I? But what we need is logic here. You don't want to spend your whole life meditating, getting the power of tumo or heat, and then you sit in the mountains, you can melt snow. Big deal. Somewhere they take pictures of you naked. Do some of you want to be seen naked? I mean, look at yourself. Do you think you want to be naked? Pictures taken? I wouldn't. I've seen myself naked. I wouldn't want anyone else to see me naked. And I don't want to be me, but some of you I don't want to see naked either. So, what happens is this. So if you were conceived at 12 a.m., where were you at 11:59? You had to be somewhere at 11:59 to exist at 12. Your previous life. And then let's say your previous life, exactly the same process, was 60 years, 70 years. Where were you before that? Your other previous life. Your previous life, your previous life, your previous life, and it goes on. Similarly, in this life, with respect to all of you, when you die, and I don't wish that, or want that, or even want to go near that, wish you all long life, but when we finally, in this life, throw in the towel, let's say we throw in the towel at 4 p.m., where will you be at 4:01? Your body is like the process of water, evaporation, cumulus clouds, precipitation. And then again, water, evaporation, precipitation. It never ends. It's a cycle. That's the same thing with our body. Our body rots down into the ground and it develops into something else. From it, it grows something else. It continues. It never actually is destroyed. It's just that it's so minute when it's cremated that when you throw it in the ground, it looks like nothing. It's not. Our body comes from that and it goes back to that, but not our mind. So if you die at 4 p.m., where will you be at 4:01? Where will you be at 4:02? 5 o'clock? If you die on Tuesday, where will you be on Wednesday, Thursday? Hence your future life. So if there is this logical process, what we call in Dharma or Buddhism is inferential logic. Inferential means not having the capacity to be able to perceive something directly, but using indirect evidence to conclude something until we can get to a higher level. That indirect evidence and that inferential logic to perceive something, you're not stuck there your whole lifetime. You'll reach a point in your meditation that you can perceive directly. You don't need hallucinogens, you don't need drugs, you don't need, these things that American Indians take to go on a trip. It's not that. Tibetan lamas don't take drugs to see their previous life. Some Tibetans take drugs, too bad for them, but not Tibetan lamas that I know. You don't need that. Your mind has the capacity to perceive. Example. This example is one of my favorites, but it's very clear and logical. If I ask you, today's what day? Sunday. If I ask you, okay, last Monday, all of you tell me immediately what you had for lunch last Monday. Tell me now. Of course you can't remember. You can't remember not because you forgot, because your mind is flustered. Your mind is not at peace. Now, if we sit down and we relax and we start going back and, there's not music playing around, there's no people running around, none of you are standing there naked, scaring us, and none of that. You're just calm and everything's all right. And then you start thinking, who was I with? Who was I hanging around with? What was I doing? And you say, oh yeah, I was with so-and-so and we went to this restaurant. I had this food. You'll be able to remember. What is that? It is your mind calming down. In that same type of process, your mind can calm down to the point of remembering things in your childhood that ordinary people cannot remember. Not remembering things in your childhood is not because you've forgotten, because it's very far away. So if you're 10, you can remember what happened to you when you're 2 or 3. When you're 20, it becomes vague. When you're 30, very vague. When you're 40, good luck. When you're 50, it was another life. When you're 60 and 70, even you don't recognize yourself in pictures. Was I that cute and plump? What happened to me? Very logical. So like that, we can remember. Why? In the West now, it's very big, is regression therapy, where people put you on hypnosis and you can remember your childhood very clearly. What is that? That is simply, they tell you, you're getting sleepy. It's actually meditation for you to calm down. Quick meditation, externally induced. You can do the same thing to yourself with meditation. You can internally induce yourself to calm down. Where your mind is calm, you can reflect and remember every detail of your life, even when you're very young. Definitely you can. Why? It is in your memory. So like that, if your mind is a continuity, it is unbroken. If you calm your mind down through meditation, you will be even able to remember your time inside your mother's womb. Oh, definitely. Why not? You had a mind in your mother's womb. What do you think, your mind entered you when you came out of your mother? You come out, the mind enters? I don't think so. That's illogical. When you came out of your holy and very beautiful mother, you must have already had a mind. So if you had a mind inside your mother, why can't you remember? Of course you can remember. You can't remember seeing because your eyes are closed, your ears are not functioning, but sensation you can remember. If she drinks something hot, it burns you. If you drink something cold, you feel cold. If she jumps or moves, you feel some pain. You can feel that sensation, and you can remember it. Definitely you can. And then if you can remember the time inside your mother's birth, inside her womb, you definitely can remember the time when you just entered her, and the time before that, because it's a continuity. So therefore, you can remember your previous lives. And the life before that, and the life before that. Remembering your previous lives is nothing spectacular or fabulous. It is just a byproduct of the type of meditation called shine, or awareness meditation. Awareness. Those who do awareness meditation, those are very aware. They see things that are happening around them. They can look into a room, everything around them, they can perceive what's happening. It's not clairvoyance, it's just clarity of mind. They know what that person doing, what they're seeing, what is going on, something dropping here, something here, they hear something. They're very clear and they're very sharp. Those who are not very aware, they're always blurred. They knock things over, they hit people, they step on things, they drop things, they always forget things, they always say, I'm sorry, I forgot. Why? That's a clear person who's always existing in a state of blur. A person who's not existing in a state of blur, they are very clear of all the things around them and what's happening. The clarity around them is incredible. Incredible clarity. Unbelievable clarity. And that clarity is definitely possible. By meditation meaning sitting in a lotus posture with your hands folded, wearing some orange robe hanging out somewhere in a cave? No. Meditation is a state of mind. Although body posture and body position does play a small part in beginner's meditation, because there are energies in our body that can help us to develop our mind faster. Example, if we were to write a book, if we were to figure out a mathematical problem in the middle of the intersection of the street trying to not get run over, it's not going to be that easy because our mind cannot concentrate. Whereas we're in a quiet, air-conditioned room with a nice milkshake, well, for me, that would be very relaxing, wouldn't it? Similarly, meditation is a state where you can bring your mind to that relaxed calm. But the goal is not always to be in a cool, cold, air-conditioned room with a milkshake. The goal is that anywhere you can bring that mind active, and that is called awareness. All the time, everything around you, you're very aware. Your ears are very clear, your eyes are very sharp, your mind is crisp, whether you had enough sleep, whether you're sick, whether you're not sick, whether you're unhappy, whether things are going your way or not, your mind is very clear, very crisp, very sharp, very fast. And with that type of meditation, you can achieve clairvoyance. Why? Clairvoyance is a higher state of awareness, where things around you can be perceived very quick and very fast. Definitely it's possible. So like that, if you had a previous life, which I have just indicated to all of you, on the basis of the text that we studied in the monastery called Logic, or the Mind. Logic, mind.